In this video, we're going to show you how to make a giant circle monogram design with our little bow here. Now, in part one of the video, we're going to show you how to create the monogram, and then in part two, we're going to show you how to actually add the bow to your monogram. And you'll find that it's really quite simple once you understand the process. So let me show you how we're going to go about doing this. The first thing, of course, we need to do is type out our monogram letters. We're going to be using a special monogram font from Font Bros, which is our circle monogram, and this is how we actually have to go about typing it out. Let's go ahead and open up our font manager here inside EasyStone, and we'll go type in circle, and it shows us some of the different options we have. And one of the options that we have is this option, 3 black, right there. That is our circle monogram. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I just want to create a circle using my ellipse tool. Hold down your control key and create a circle. The circle should be bigger than the monogram. Then we're going to select them both and hit the C key on our keyboard. That centers everything left to right, and E for Edward centers everything top to bottom. Alright, now once we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to resize our circle to the size of our lettering. Alright, so to do that, we're going to start from our corner, hold our shift key, and when you do that, the resizing happens from the center of our circle. See that there? There we go. Let's change our outline color so we can see it a little bit better. Yeah, it might be overdoing it just a touch, huh? Let's do 0.5 millimeter and change our color to something that we can see as well. It's like a pink or something. So now you can kind of see what we have going on. So now what I want to do is I want to resize this circle. So I'm going to select everything. I'm going to come over here to the Specialty tab and choose Set Size and pick the left edge of my circle and the right edge and say I want this to be 10 inches. Okay, so it's going to resize it, and now that should be 10 inches. Let's click on our circle. You can see there's our circle. And sure enough, it's about 10 inches. It's about 9.8, which is close enough for what we're going to be doing. Alright, so we have our nice big logo file now. So now the next thing I want to do is actually take that logo file and just convert it to a bitmap. Strictly speaking, we wouldn't have to do this. I just tend to usually do it just out of habit. Alright, so then we're going to take our bitmap and we're going to come to the Specialty tab here in EasyStone and lock it so we can't accidentally do anything with it. So now we need to go about creating our monogram. Now, if you follow along with the process, you'll find that it's going to be very, very simple to create any monogram you're looking to create. Yes, there are numerous steps involved, but the process will be the exact same, basically, no matter what lettering we're actually using. All right? So here's a couple of things to keep in mind. The A here is the same shape as the D. It's just missing some stones, and there's some additional stones here in the middle. So what we're going to focus on is stoning our D, and then we'll flip it over and we'll have our A, and we'll go in and delete a few stones, and presto. Alright, now the S, it's symmetrical. If you're looking at the S, it is actually symmetrical on the left and right. So we're only going to stone half of the S, flip it over, and we'll have our other half. So it'll all make more sense once we actually get in to do it. So the next thing we have to think about is, well, what size stone do we want to use for this particular design? And because it's so big, I've decided we're going to create this monogram using SS16 stones. So if we look at the EasyStone form, we have our stone color set to hot pink. We have our stone size set to SS16 stones. So we're going to select our circle. We're going to come to the Stone Fill tab, and we're going to offset like 4 times, and we'll click Island Fill, and you can see what it does. It offset, 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 offset. Alright, so now the next thing we need to do is we need to set in a couple of stones. So watch how we're going to do this. We're going to just come in here and go to the Stone tab and click on Drop Stone, and we're going to drop one stone, hit the Escape key. And this one stone, we're going to grab it from the center and position it right so the stone edge is right there on our artwork. You see that right there? Do the exact same thing here. So we're making a copy right there. Okay? And to make a copy of a stone, we left click with the mouse and drag, right click to make a duplicate. That's one way. Or we left click with our mouse and hit the space bar. That will also duplicate. Pretty nifty, hey? Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this stone right here, go to the Stone Fill tab, and offset it 4 times. We're going to do the same thing, go in this direction. 4 times. Okay, so we've taken care of that. Now, one more time actually. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to add a guideline right at the center vertical of each one of these stones. And I'll show you why we're going to do that here momentarily. So what we're going to do is select those stones. We're going to open up our Easy Guide tool here inside Easy Stone. Very useful tools, only macro on the planet that has all these extra guideline tools, I should point out. But we're going to come in here to each object and do center vertical. And you see, look at that. Easy Stone added a center vertical guideline on each one of our selected objects. Okay, those little tools will save you so much design time. Trust me now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to drag out a stone, pick it up from the middle, and we're going to go from intersection, spacebar, 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 spacebar. Isn't that handy to have that little spacebar tip in our back pocket for making those copies? Alright, so now we need to do the same thing up here. Same exact process. We grab it from intersection, spacebar, 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 spacebar. Alright, so that takes care of that. Now for now we don't really need these guidelines, and if we did down the road, they're really easy to put back, so let's just go ahead and dispose of them. So we're going to come over here to the Stone tab, or excuse me, right click on EG, and that will get rid of those guidelines. Now all I need to do is select these two, come to the Stone tab, Shift Add Stones, go to the next row, select those 2 stones, Shift Add Stones, go to the next row, Shift Add Stones. Oops. Says we need 2, and I accidentally have 2 stones and a blend group selected, so let's try it again. Just select, I did the same thing. Let's try it again. 3rd time's the charm. But now I've got 4 stones selected. So I could just come in here, Shift key, that one, there we go. Shift Add Stones. Shift Add Stones. And Shift Add Stones. And then we need to do the same thing on this side. So we'll Shift Add Stones. And you'll get better at making selections. You can see I'm still not great because I selected a blend group by accident there. So we'll do it the hard way. We'll just select one, hold our Shift key down, we'll select this one. Shift key down, select Add Stones. Alright. So that takes care of that. Alright. Now, in this process that we did, you can see here there are paths. You see those paths? Those are going to be important for us in our next step. But we actually want to do something before we get into that. We need to do one extra thing here. With this outside circle here, we have some specialized tools here in Easy Stone to make certain things easier for us. And one of those tools here, if we remember earlier, we click on Add for our guidelines. We just clicked on EG and it brought up this little guideline panel. Well, we have a special little hidden set of tools under Shift EG. You get a slightly different set of tools, but they are guideline tools nonetheless. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a split line vertical and hit process. And you see that line that's automatically created for us? So now we're going to select that line, hold our Shift key down because we want to add to the selection, and then hold down the Alt key down, and anywhere I click and drag, I just picked up all those lines. And we're going to come to the Editing tab, and we're going to choose Intersections. Now, you don't really see a lot happen, but basically what's happened is it's trimmed that half of the lines. You see that there? Those are all trimmed away. All right? Because remember, we're going to create half the design, then we're going to flip it over, create our other half. So the next thing we're going to do is select the entire design here. We're going to go over to the Stone tab, and we're going to break the stones. Now remember, we have these paths. We're going to need those paths to do some trimming. So let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to select the entire design. We're going to select those stone paths. We need to add to the selection. Hold our Shift key down to do that. Then hold the Alt key and click and drag. And that will pick up all of these lines over here because we need to perform an intersection. So let's go back over here to editing and choose intersections. Alright, now again, we really don't see anything happen, but something very important did happen. You see these little end caps right here? Hold down the Alt key, click and drag and a marquee over them. That will pick them all up, and now we can add stones to them. And you can see where the stone starts and stops right there at this path. If we go to a wireframe mode, you can see right there, this is trimmed. In fact, if we take this, you'll see it even better. See how we trimmed it right there? So that's why we did that. Same thing here. We're going to Alt drag all of these. Go ahead and add stones. And you can see where they're coming down is right there at that intersection. Now, obviously here there's some issues. Same thing up here. There's some collision issues, but we're going to fix that here momentarily. Let's go back to Enhance mode. Let's go ahead and select everything. We can now delete our stone paths. We can go ahead and check spacing. That will delete any overlapping stones. And then we can come in here and delete. You see all these extra paths here? We can get rid of all of those. What we might want to do is just go ahead and let's tell you what let's do. Let's unlock our logo. Let's select our stones. So we're going to pick up just our stones and our logo and slide it over. So all of those extra lines over here, we don't care about all those. Let's right click on our logo and lock it down again. These we can just get rid of. Alright, so now what we need to do, let's focus here on the S because it'll be the easiest to do. So what I would do is I just come in here, we'll just pick a spot here. We're going to delete some stones and we're going to say that, I don't know, these two stones rule the roost. Okay, so we're going to take this one, this one, this one, and then this one, B for bottom. Okay, and then same thing over here. We're going to take this one, this one, this one, this one, hit T for top. So now all of those are lined up. So now all we need to do is take everything in between and space them. So you can just hit V for vertical, and that will space them vertically. Evenly, okay? So that takes care of that, V for vertical. Then we want to do the same thing over here. Same basic process. We want to fill in that gap, so V for vertical. And V for vertical. And even if you don't think a column needs it, it only takes a second to do it. So we might as well do it to all 5. There we go. Alright, so that takes care of that. So then what we would do is just flip it over. Now, I'm actually going to fix my D before we flip because my D is going to become my A. So let's look at D here and see what we need to do here. So we have some collisions here. And what I want to do is I want my verticals here to stay intact. Okay? So what I mean by that is we're going to go 5. So we're going to go ahead and space those vertically. See what we got here. And I'm going to delete, I think I'm going to delete just one stone because that looks a little bit tight for spacing. To me it looks just a pinch tight. V for vertical. Oh, I grabbed the wrong column. It happens. V for vertical. There we go. So if we look at the spacing here on that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually it still looks a little tight. So let's try deleting 2 stones this time. We want the spacing on that particular row there to be similar to these. and now you can see the spacing between stones is pretty similar. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to drop our stone size to whatever we think we need to drop it here at these intersections. So maybe I'll drop that to well, I don't know. Let's see here. Well, I'm going to have to play with it a little bit. This can be 10, and I think that's good. And then this will be a 6. We'll drop that down to a 10. Let's see if we can fit in a 6 there, which I think that looks pretty good. That's back to a 10. Ooh, I don't know. Let's go ahead and try dropping that. Maybe we'll put in do something like this. We just want to try and fill it in as best we can. And I think that's probably good enough. So we didn't have to manipulate too many stones there, and it just gives it a little bit nicer look there. So what I'll do here is I'll come in here and I'll delete a swath of stones here. Everything but the tip of this one right there. Shift, not that one. Everything else, and that's kind of our anchor. So I can take these and flip them, and then because we have this kind of anchor, we can just go from center to center and line everything up. So now we're going to select the entire design again, check spacing. Now we just need to flip it over. So select the whole thing, flip it over, holding down my control key, and then right click. And then pick it up, center to center. And there we go. So now you can kind of see what we've got going on here. So now all we're going to do is, kind of like we did before, we're just going to delete some stones here. Like that. And then we're going to line these up at the bottom. We're going to space them vertically. V for vertical. V for vertical. V for vertical. V for vertical. And V for vertical. Alright, so then this, what we're going to do is we're just going to select these, come straight across, make a duplicate, and R for right hand edge. And then we're just going to select those two, shift add stones. Now that we have those, we can copy it down, spacebar, 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 right? And now that we've done that, we're going to select everything. We're going to delete our stone paths. We're going to check our duplicate overlaps. And now we have to just kind of fill in these. So we're going to just make some duplicates here, which I think that's enough. And all we're doing is just hitting the space bar. So we added 3 extras. And we're going to go from this stone to this stone, select V for vertical. This stone to this stone, select V for vertical. This stone to this stone, select V for vertical. This stone to this stone, select V for vertical. And this stone to this stone, select V for vertical. That takes care of our S. Now for the A, we're going to do something a little bit different. Let's go into wireframe mode here. You see this line of our bitmap? Well, we have some specialized tools, guideline tools. They're wicked cool for doing layout work. And let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to go into our guideline tool, and we have nothing selected. So we're going to check guided angle and just click on this point of our bitmap and this point of our bitmap. And see that? We've added a guideline at whatever angle that is. I have no idea, but visually I can see it. And that is such a powerful, useful layout function that I wish CorelDRAW had, but it doesn't. So I created it for myself. So now with that guideline at the right angle, I can just pick it up and move it and center it on one of those stones. And where this comes in handy, let's go back in and delete all these. Where this comes in handy is now I can take these stones here and drop it right on that guideline, right where it needs to be. So I have a nice clean edge to work with. Just like so. Perfect, right? So now all I need to do is kind of connect the dots. Let's get rid of our guideline. And so now all I have to do really is just connect the dots. So we're going to grab our freehand selection tool and very carefully, or not so carefully, as it may be, select that first row of stones. Now I did get a couple of these, which I don't want. But watch the respace function here. It's going to fill in that gap and perfectly set those stones for me. So just respace, and you can see that gap has now been perfectly set for me. So we kind of need to do the same thing with each row. And you know, I've done lots of selections and sometimes I'm pretty good at making those selections, sometimes not so much. If you look closely, you will have these little tick marks on the stones. So like this one I don't want selected. So you can see visually there's a little tick, 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 tick. There isn't a tick on these two. So you hold your shift key down and you can add to your selection or take away, and we'll respace. And that is taken care of on that secondary row. And so we have a couple more rows to do. Now, sometimes what I'll do too is I'll select part of a row. Now that one I went a little crazy on. But you can see I've got some of the stones selected, but not all of them. And then I'll just come in here and hold my shift key down. Get rid of the ones I don't want. And then I can zoom in nice and tight and pick up a few that I missed. So I want this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then hit respace. Now if you look here, there must be something. See, there's something going on here. And that happens because I didn't pay attention to what I had selected. So I'll make a little bit more careful selection this time. We will unselect these two here at the bottom. And I think that is a better selection this time. I don't think there's any extras. So we'll hit respace and see if we don't get a better, yeah, we got a better result that time. Alright, so we have one more to go here. Now we could just select one and just hold your shift key down and go along that row and select them that way too. It's a little bit more labor intensive because we have to click on every single stone along the way. We wouldn't necessarily have to. I tend to be pretty particular as far as the respacing goes, so I'd go all the way to the top. Alright, so now we've done that. Now we can hit respace and should respace everything nice and neat for us. Alright, so that takes care of that. Now the next thing to do is to, of course, take care of the horizontal A here. So what we'll do is pull over one stone. Now this is just getting really nitpicky. But what I typically will do is I will have where this comes across, I want that to be nice and continuous straight across on my A. So what I'll do is I'll make a small adjustment to the artwork. And again, this is just me being nitpicky. We probably wouldn't have to go through all this extra work. And it's really not that much extra work. But what we're going to do is take some stones and hit B for bottom and change the position of those stones. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to pull a stone straight across for the bottom, and let's take these and T for top. So you see what we did there? So everything in between here I'm just going to go ahead and dispose of. And then we'll have nice uniformity this way. Alright, so we'll come down here and spacebar, spacebar, spacebar. So that'll just keep going continuously straight across. So I'll pull these straight across like so. Pull this one straight across. Pull this one straight across. Pull this one straight across. And pull that one straight across. And then we'll just connect these. Shift add stones. 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 Okay, so now we've connected those. And then what I'll do is I'll come in here and we'll delete stone paths. We'll check for spacing. Any overlapping stones? There aren't any. And then we just have to fix these gaps. So we just select the first and last stone. Select vertical. Select vertical. Select vertical. Select vertical. And we'll go right to this point on this one. Select vertical. So we keep that same point of our font there. And then same thing at the bottom end here. Select it all in between and vertical spacing. Select all in between, vertical spacing. Select all in between, vertical spacing. Select all in between, vertical spacing. And select all in between, vertical spacing. Alright, so now what I want to do here is I'm pretty sure I want to do this anyhow. I'm not happy with this stone spacing being tight and then this stone spacing being loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select each row and just do this. Or you know what? Maybe this row I'll tolerate it, but these rows I won't, because I do like the sharp corner, but I do not like the way this is. Maybe if I just adjust these three, maybe that's the ticket. And this is a little bit loose, but that's okay because I have a nice sharp corner, which is what I want anyhow. Alright, so let's get rid of our bitmap. And now we can kind of look at our masterpiece here. Let's go ahead and throw it behind a weed box. Let's go ahead and check spacing one last time. And let's make a duplicate like we always do. And let's go ahead and simulate it, add a watermark, add our dimensions, all that fun stuff. There we go. So that takes care of the first part, which is creating the monogram. So then in part two, we're going to take a look at adding the bow to the monogram and what modifications we need to do to the monogram to accept the bow being placed right on top. So I hope you enjoyed this process. I hope you try out the techniques, because while there are many steps involved, it really is pretty straightforward to do. So we've spent about 30 minutes creating the design, but the nice thing about this design is it's really perfect. I mean, you know, that stone placement and spacing on the design is absolutely as spot on as you could get. Certainly, we could take lots of shortcuts and slap something together, but if you want something super, super nice to deliver, take the extra time, use these techniques, and create a really nice looking design. Thanks for watching.